Dim the lights, let the darkness of your room wrap around you like a heavy, waxed cloak. The rain is tapping against your window, a rhythmic, insistent drumming that drowns out the modern world. Close your eyes, breathe in deep. Can you smell it? Not the fresh rain of today, but the thick, cloying scent of burning juniper, rosemary, and the underlying metallic tang of decay. It is the year of our Lord 1348, and you are tired. You wake not in a soft bed, but on a straw mattress that scratches against your skin. The air in your small, rented room in Florence is cold, damp, and heavy with fear. Outside, the city is silent. It is a silence that screams. The usual bustle of carts, the shouting of merchants, the playing of children, it has all vanished. Replaced by the occasional tolling of a church bell and the creak of the death carts rolling over cobblestones. You sit up, swinging your legs over the side of the bed. Your feet hit the cold stone floor, sending a shiver up your spine that has nothing to do with the temperature. Today is your first day. You stare at the wooden table across the room. On it lies a document, the ink barely dry. It is a contract between you and the city council. They call you a medico della peste, a plague doctor. It sounds prestigious, doesn't it? It sounds like a title of authority, of science, of salvation, but you know the truth. You know why you signed that paper. You aren't here because you are the finest medical mind in Italy. The real doctors, the ones with soft hands and university degrees from Bologna or Paris, they have long since fled. They packed their carriages and retreated to their country villas the moment the first black buboes appeared on the necks of the dockworkers. No, you are here because you are desperate. Perhaps you were a failed student, a barber surgeon with too many debts, or just a man with nothing left to lose. The city offered a salary 4 times what a master craftsman makes in a year. They offered you a house, they offered you citizenship. All you had to do was agree to treat the untouchables. All you had to do was agree to walk into the mouth of hell while everyone else was running for the exit. You stand up and walk to the table. Beside the contract lies your armor. It doesn't look like the steel plate of a knight, but make no mistake, you are going into battle. And this enemy doesn't carry a sword. It travels on the wind, in the breath of a dying man, in the bite of a flea. You begin the ritual of dressing. It takes time, it must be perfect. One slip, one exposed inch of skin, and that high salary becomes an inheritance for your next of kin. First, the tunic. You pull on the heavy linen, tucking it tightly into your breeches. Then comes the coat. It is made of Moroccan leather, stiff and heavy. You spent hours last night waxing it with suet, sealing every pore of the animal's skin until it shone in the candlelight. It smells of old fat and determination. You button it all the way up to your chin. It feels suffocating, restricting your movement, making you sweat before you've even left the room. Good. If the air can't get in, the sickness can't get in. Next, the boots, tall, thick leather boots that lace up tight. You tuck your breeches into them, ensuring there is no gap. Then the gloves. Gauntlets, really, you pull them on, flexing your fingers, the leather creaks. You feel clumsy, disconnected from the world. You touch the table, but you can't feel the wood grain. You are sealing yourself inside a second skin, and then the mask. You lift it from the table. It is hideous. It is ridiculous. It is the most terrifying thing you have ever held. A white bird-like beak protruding half a foot from the face with 2 glass circles for eyes. It looks like a caricature, a joke from a dark carnival. But the design, they told you, is rooted in the finest science. The disease is in the air, they say, the miasma, the foul air. To breathe it is to die, so the beak is not for show. You turn it over in your hands. The inside of the beak is stuffed with straw and herbs. You can see the dried leaves packed tight, ambergris, mint, camphor, dried rose petals, and cloves. A potpourri of protection. The theory is simple. The air must travel through this labyrinth of sweet smells before it reaches your nostrils, the herbs purging the miasma of its deadly poison. You take a deep breath, steeling yourself, and pull the mask over your head. The world instantly changes. Your vision is tunneled, reduced to 2 foggy circles of glass. Your peripheral vision is gone. You feel the weight of the beak pulling your head forward. You breathe in. The scent is overpowering, a sharp, spicy punch of camphor and clove that stings your throat. It is better than the smell of rotting bodies, you tell yourself. You grab your hat, a wide-brimmed black leather hat that indicates your profession, and place it atop the mask. Finally, you take your cane, a long wooden rod with a winged hourglass carved into the handle. This is your instrument. You will use it to examine patients without touching them. You will use it to lift their clothes, to point, to keep the desperate and the dying at bay. You catch your reflection in a small, cracked mirror on the wall. You don't look like a man anymore. You look like a giant, flightless crow. You look like death itself. You turn to the door. Your heart is hammering against your ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. You are terrified. But you are also hungry and the city is paying well. You open the door and step out into the rain. The streets of Florence await you, and they are hungry too. You turn the heavy iron key in the lock behind you. The click echoes like a gunshot in the narrow alleyway. That sound marks the boundary. Behind that door lies your meager sanctuary, the only place in this cursed city where you can breathe without filtering the air through a beak of dried flowers. In front of you lies the zone. The entire city of Florence has become a waiting room for the grave, and you are its reluctant clerk. You take your first step onto the cobblestones. They are slick with rain and filth. Immediately, you realize the magnitude of your mistake regarding the boots. You lace them tight, yes, to keep the bad air out, but the leather is new and stiff. It digs into your ankles with every stride. You are less than 10 paces from your door, and already you are uncomfortable. But comfort is a luxury of the living, and out here, the line between the living and the dead is blurring by the hour. The first thing that hits you is not the smell. The herbs in your beak are doing their job for now, filling your nose with a heady, dizzying aroma of camphor, but the humidity. The wax coat is an oven. Your body heat, trapped inside the layers of linen and leather, begins to rise. Condensation forms instantly on the inside of your glass goggles. The world, already dark and gray, becomes a smear of shapes and shadows. You have to tilt your head, maneuvering to find a clear patch of glass to see through. You look ridiculous, tilting your bird head this way and that like a pigeon spotting a crumb, but there is no one laughing. There is no one at all. This street, the Via dei Calzaioli, used to be the artery of the city. You remember it from a year ago. It was a cacophony of life. Shoemakers hammering soles, wool merchants haggling over prices, beggars chanting for alms, the smell of roasting chestnuts and horse manure. Now, it is a canyon of silence. The shops are boarded up. Heavy wooden shutters are slammed tight on every window, locked and barred as if an army were invading. In a way, an army has invaded. An army of millions, invisible and merciless. You walk down the center of the street, you keep away from the walls, you've heard the stories. People, terrified and lazy, throw their waste, and sometimes the clothes of the dead, out of the upper windows. You cannot risk a soiled rag landing on your shoulder. You walk with a purpose you do not feel, your cane tapping a rhythmic warning on the stones. Tap, 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 the sound acts as a herald. Ahead, a stray dog skitters across your path. It is gaunt, ribs showing through mange-ridden fur. It stops, looks at you with wet, milky eyes and bares its teeth. Even the animals know you are not right. You are an unnatural shape in a natural world. You raise your cane not to strike but to threaten. The dog whimpers and darts into an alley, you watch it go. The city council has ordered the extermination of cats and dogs, believing they carry the pestilence. You see their carcasses piled in the gutters, bloated and ignored. You wonder if killing the cats was wise, when the rats are now so bold they scurry over your boots without fear. As you move deeper into the city toward the Santa Croce district where the outbreak is fiercest, you begin to notice the audience. You are not alone. Behind those shuttered windows, eyes are watching you. You can feel them. Through cracks in the wood, through keyholes, the citizens of Florence are tracking your progress. To them, you are a walking contradiction. You are their greatest hope and their deepest fear. When they see the beak, they know help has arrived, but they also know that death is knocking. You are the angel of death's accountant. If you are standing in front of their house, it means the end has come. You see a shutter crack open just an inch on the second floor of a grand palazzo. A hand emerges, making the sign of the horns to ward off evil, and then quickly withdraws. They think you bring the bad luck. They don't understand that you are just following it. The sensory deprivation of the suit begins to mess with your head. The muffled sound of your own breathing is loud in your ears. In, out, it sounds rasping, metallic. The herbs are losing their fresh punch, settling into a dull, sickly sweet background scent that makes your stomach turn slightly. And then, despite the mask, a new smell pierces through. It is a smell so thick you can taste it. It creeps under the leather mask, bypassing the rose petals and the mint. It is the smell of putrefaction. Not just of flesh, but of a city rotting from the inside out. It smells of unwashed bodies, of old blood, of excrement, and of something sweeter, like overripe melon bursting in the sun. You round a corner and nearly trip. There is a body in the street. It is not fresh. It is a man face down in the mud. He is naked, stripped of his clothes by looters who care more for a few yards of wool than for their own lives. His skin is a map of the disease. Even through the fogged glass, you can see the black-purple blotches, the god's tokens blooming across his back. He is swollen, gas-filled, looking like he might burst if you touched him. You stop. You are contractually obligated to report bodies, but to whom? The becchini, the corpse carriers, are overwhelmed. They are often criminals or desperate men paid in coin and whine to do the work no one else will. They are drunk half the time, singing lewd songs as they stack bodies like cordwood. You look around. There are no corpse carriers here, just you and the dead man. You grip your cane tighter. This is the moment you realize the true power of the stick. It is your barrier. You extend it, placing the tip gently against the man's shoulder. The wood connects. You push. The body is stiff. Rigor mortis has set in. He has been here since last night at least. You feel a wave of nausea, not from the sight but from the proximity. You step back, wiping the tip of the cane on the cobblestones, scrubbing it back and forth as if the wood itself could get infected. "Doctor," the voice is a croak. It comes from the shadows of a doorway to your left. You spin around, your heart leaping into your throat. The beak swings heavily, throwing you off balance for a second. A woman is sitting there. She is huddled in a gray shawl, clutching a bundle to her chest. She looks up at you. Her face is pale, sweat beading on her forehead, her eyes glassy with fever. She is not old, but the sickness has aged her 20 years in a few days. She reaches out a hand. Her fingers are stained dark. "Doctor, please, my boy." She opens the shawl. Inside the bundle is a child no more than 5 years old. He is silent, too silent. His neck is twisted at an odd angle, and there, right under the jaw, is a swelling the size of an apple. It is angry and red, pulsing with a life of its own. You freeze. Your contract says you are to treat the sick, but your survival instinct screams at you to run. The distance between you and her is perhaps 6 feet. That is the safe zone. If you step closer, you enter the cloud of her breath. You enter the miasma. "Help him," she whispers. "I have money. I have silver." She fumbles in her rags and produces a small, dirty pouch. She drops it on the wet stones. It jingles. You look at the pouch. You look at the woman. You look at the dying child. This is the transaction. This is the reality. You are a mercenary of medicine, but what can you do? You have no cure. You have lancing tools to drain the buboes, you have mercury to promote sweating, you have treacle to calm the humors. But none of it works. You know it, she knows it, but she is buying hope. You take a step forward, your leather coat creaking loudly. You point the cane at the pouch on the ground. You do not pick it up with your hands. You use the hook of the cane to drag it across the stones, closer to your boots. Then you look at her. You cannot speak clearly through the mask. Your voice comes out muffled, deep and hollow, like a voice from a tomb. "Stay back," you command. She nods, tears streaming down her face, mixing with the grime. "Please, you are not a priest. You cannot absolve her sins. You are not a savior. You cannot stop the black tide rising in her son's blood. But you are here, and you have taken the coin." You gesture with the cane, pointing to the child's neck. "Does he wake?" "No," she sobs, "not since Vespers." "Then let him sleep," you say. "It is the only kindness you can offer. If you cut him now, if you lance that boil, he will wake in agony and die screaming. If you leave him, he will slip away in the dark." She stares at you, the glass eyes of your mask reflecting her own despair. She understands. She pulls the shawl back over the boy's face. She doesn't ask for the money back. She just slumps against the doorframe, closing her eyes. You turn away. You leave the coin on the ground. You tell yourself it's because the leather gloves make it hard to pick up small objects. You tell yourself it's because the pouch might be contaminated, but deep down you know the truth. You couldn't take it. Not for that, you continue walking. The rain picks up, drumming harder against your wide-brimmed hat. The sound is deafening inside the hood. Tap, tap, tap. You are walking toward the house of a wealthy merchant who sent for you this morning. A man who thinks his gold can build a wall against God's wrath. You check your belt. The pouch of dried frogs is there for placing on the buboes to draw out the poison. The jar of leeches is secure. The sharp scalpel is sheathed. You are a walking armory of useless weapons. The sun is trying to rise, but the sky remains a bruised purple. The silhouettes of the buildings loom over you like tombstones. You realize with a heavy heart that the city feels different today than it did yesterday. It feels lighter, not because of hope, but because there are fewer people breathing in it. You adjust your mask. The beak is heavy on your nose. You trudge on, a black bird in a dying garden waiting for the worm. The merchant's house is a fortress of denial. While the rest of the city reeks of damp straw and death, the air around the Palazzo dei Rossi smells faintly of burning lavender. The large oak doors, usually thrown open to welcome business partners and extended family, are barred shut. Iron grates cover the lower windows. It stands imposing and aloof, a stone island in a sea of misery. You stand before the heavy door, the rain dripping from the brim of your hat splashing onto the waxed shoulders of your coat. You do not knock with your hand. You use the heavy silver head of your cane, rapping 3 times against the wood. The sound is dull, absorbed by the thickness of the oak. Silence. Then the sound of bolts sliding back. 1, 2, 3 of them, a small viewing hatch slides open, eyes peer out wide, fearful eyes surrounded by wrinkles of worry. Who is it? A voice trembles. The doctor, you reply, your voice booms inside the mask, muffled and resonant to the listener. I was summoned. The hatch snaps shut. You hear the heavy groan of the door opening, just a crack. Enough for a man to slip through, but hopefully not enough for a spirit. You squeeze inside, your leather coat scraping against the doorframe. The door is slammed shut behind you instantly, the bolts thrown back into place with frantic haste. You are in a grand entrance hall. The floor is marble, checkered black and white, polished to a shine that reflects your monstrous silhouette. But look closer. In the corners, piles of dried herbs are burning in brass braziers. The smoke hangs low and blue in the air. The servants are nowhere to be seen. Usually a house like this would be buzzing with maids and footmen. Now it is a tomb. A man approaches you. He is dressed in fine velvet, a deep crimson that clashes with his pale, sweating face. This is Signor Rossi. He holds a pomander, a ball of spiced perfumes, clamped to his nose. He breathes through it in short, shallow gasps. He looks at you at the beak, at the glass eyes, and he flinches. You are the thing he fears most, invited into his sanctuary. Upstairs, he says, his voice muffled by the pomander. My daughter, Lucia. He does not offer to take your coat. He does not offer you wine. You are unclean. You are a necessary evil. You follow him up the wide stone staircase. Your boots clack, clack, clack on the marble, a stark contrast to his soft velvet slippers. The house is filled with treasures. Tapestries from Flanders hang on the walls, depicting hunting scenes and biblical miracles. Silver candlesticks sit on mahogany tables, but dust is settling on them. Fear has paralyzed the household routines. Wealth means nothing here. The plague does not care about the thread count of your sheets or the weight of your purse. It only cares about the warmth of your blood. You reach the landing. A maid stands by a door, weeping silently into an apron. She steps aside as you approach, pressing herself against the wall as if your shadow alone could kill her. Signor Rossi stops. He cannot bring himself to enter the room. He points a trembling finger. Save her, he whispers. I will pay double, triple, just save her. You nod, a slow, solemn dip of the beak. You push the door open with your cane. The room is stiflingly hot. The windows are sealed tight, heavy curtains drawn to block out the bad air. A massive fire roars in the hearth, making the room feel like a kiln. This is the standard treatment, heat to sweat out the fever. But the air is stale, recycled, thick with the smell of sickness and the cloying scent of rosewater used to mask it. In the center of the room is a four-poster bed draped in expensive silks. And there, buried under mounds of furs and blankets, is Lucia. She is young, perhaps 16. Her hair, damp with sweat, is plastered to her forehead. Her face is flushed a deep, unnatural red. Her breath comes in ragged, wet gasps that rattle in her chest. She is delirious, muttering names of people who are not there, her hands picking aimlessly at the sheets. You approach the bed, you do not sit. You stand at the bedside, a towering figure of black leather and glass. The heat in the room is instantly oppressive inside your suit. Sweat trickles down your back, itching and uncomfortable. Your breath fogs the goggles again, you have to blink rapidly, tilting your head to see. Lucia, you say, your voice is a low rumble. She does not respond. She is deep in the fevered dream. You begin the examination. This is the theater of medicine. You must look like you know what you are doing, even if you are powerless. You extend your cane. You use the tip to gently pull back the heavy furs. She shivers violently as the slightly cooler air hits her skin. You use the cane to lift the hem of her nightgown. You are looking for the signs. You check the groin first, then the armpits, the lymph nodes, the breeding grounds, and there it is under her left arm, a swelling the size of a goose egg. It is black, hard, and surrounded by a ring of angry red inflammation. A bubo, the hallmark of the Yersinia pestis, though you do not know that name, you only know it as the token of death. You lean in closer, the beak hovering inches from her skin. You can smell the specific, sickly sweet odor of the infection rising from the swelling. It smells like old apples and copper. You straighten up, you look at the father who is hovering in the doorway, terrified to enter but unable to leave. The humors are imbalanced, you declare. It is the standard diagnosis. Her blood is hot and corrupt, the poison seeks a way out. Can you draw it out? Rossi asks, his voice breaking. I can try. You place your cane against the wall. You reach into your bag, you pull out the jar of leeches, they swirl in the murky water, dark and hungry. You also pull out a small, sharp knife, a lancet. I need a bowl, you say to the maid. She scurries off and returns with a silver basin, placing it on the bedside table before retreating to the safety of the door. You turn back to Lucia. You have a choice. The leeches are safer for you. They draw blood slowly, but the lancet. The lancet is quicker though it sprays, and the spray is deadly, but the swelling is so large, so hard that leeches might not be enough. The pressure needs to be released. Hold her, you say to the empty air. No one will come to hold her. The father is weeping into his hands. The maid is gone. You are alone with the patient. You have to do this yourself. You use your left hand, clad in the thick leather gauntlet, to pin her arm down. She moans, a sound of pure distress. You take the lancet in your right hand. The blade catches the light of the fire. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the filtered air of herbs. You pray to St. Roch, the patron saint of plague victims. Steady. You bring the blade down, you pierce the center of the black swelling. It is not like cutting skin, it is like cutting into a ripe fruit. The resistance gives way instantly. A foul mixture of dark blood and yellow pus erupts from the wound. It spatters onto the silver basin, onto the sheets, and God have mercy, a drop lands on your leather glove. You flinch. You cannot help it, you stare at that drop of fluid on your glove. It is death. If your glove has a crack, a pinhole, a weak seam, you are a dead man walking. Lucia screams. It is a weak, gurgling scream, but it pierces the room. The pain must be blinding. You quickly grab a cloth from the table and press it hard against the wound, soaking up the corruption. It is done, you say, your voice shaking slightly. The poison is released. She goes limp, fainting from the pain. This is a mercy. You work quickly now. You apply a poultice, a mixture of tree resin, white lily roots, and dried human excrement, a common remedy believed to draw out the toxins. You bind the wound with linen bandages. You step back. You pick up the silver basin. It is heavy with the fluids of the plague. You cannot leave it here. It is a hazard. Burn the sheets, you command the father, who is now staring at his unconscious daughter with a mix of horror and hope. Burn everything she has touched. Keep the fire high, he nods, pale as a ghost. Will she live? You look at Lucia. Her breathing is still ragged, but perhaps a little easier now that the pressure is gone. But you have seen this before. The release is often temporary. The poison is in the blood, not just the boil. That is for God to decide, you say. It is the only honest answer you have. I will return in 2 days if she is still here. You pack your tools. You wipe your lancet carefully with a rag soaked in vinegar, then wrap it in oilcloth. You pick up your cane. You walk to the door. Signor Rossi blocks your path for a moment. He holds out a heavy purse, gold, much more than your contract stipulates. Thank you, he whispers. You take the purse. It is heavy. It feels cold through your gloves. You nod and step past him, out of the room, out of the heat, back onto the landing. As you descend the stairs, you look at the drop of blood on your glove again. It has dried to a dark, crusty spot. You have to clean it. Immediately, you reach the front door. The bolts are drawn back for you. You step out into the rain. The cold air hits you like a hammer after the sauna of the sick room. You gasp, sucking in the air through the beak. The rain washes over you, streaming down your leather coat. You hold your hand out, letting the rainwater scrub at the spot on your glove. You rub it furiously with your other hand. Out, damn spot, you are rich. You have just earned more in 10 minutes than a farmer earns in a lifetime. But as you stand there in the rain, shivering, looking at the gray, empty street, you realize something. You can't spend it. The taverns are closed, the markets are empty. The cloth merchants are dead. You are the wealthiest man in a city of corpses, and the day is not even half over. You grip your cane, you have a list. Another name, another house, another door to knock on. You start walking. The water squelches in your boots. The herbs in your mask are damp now, their scent fading, replaced by the omnipresent smell of wet ash and rot. You are the doctor, and the rounds must continue. You leave the wealthy quarter behind. The Palazzo dei Rossi fades into the mist, its stone lions guarding a house of fear. Your next destination lies across the river in the Oltrarno. It is the district of the wool workers, the dyers, the laborers, the beating heart of Florence now stopped dead in its chest. To get there, you must cross the Ponte Vecchio. Usually this bridge is a gauntlet of butchers and goldsmiths, so crowded you can barely move. Today, it is a ghost town suspended over the Arno. The shops hanging over the river's edge are shuttered. The butchers are gone, but the smell remains. A deep, ingrained stench of old blood that has soaked into the wood for centuries. It mingles with the smell of the river below, which is swollen and brown from the rain. You walk down the center of the bridge. Halfway across, you stop. A barrier has been erected. A pile of old furniture, broken carts, and barrels blocks the path. Sitting atop this barricade are 3 men. They are not soldiers, they are not guards. They are locals armed with clubs and rusty knives. They wear rags wrapped around their faces, covering their noses and mouths. They see you coming, the black silhouette, the beak, the hat, and they stand up. They do not look relieved, they look angry. Turn back, Crow, one of them shouts. He waves a club studded with nails. No death here, we are clean. You stop, you rest your weight on your cane, this is common now. Neighborhoods are quarantining themselves, creating little fiefdoms of survival. They believe that if they block the roads, the plague cannot walk in. They believe you bring it, and in a way they are right. You have been in the sick rooms. You carry the invisible seeds on your coat. I have a writ, you say, your voice muffled and metallic. From the city council I must pass. The council is dead, the man spits. Or hiding in their villas eating pheasant. We have no masters here but God, and God has turned his back. I have medicines, you lie, I can help. The second man laughs, a harsh barking sound. Helped like you helped the baker, he died an hour after you left, like you helped the priest. You are a vulture, you come to count the bodies, not save them. He picks up a stone. It is a heavy river rock, he weighs it in his hand. You are armored against the air but not against a mob. Your leather coat is tough but it won't stop a rock to the head. You assess the situation. There are 3 of them, you are one man encumbered by a suit that restricts your vision and movement. You have a cane and a small knife. I will not pass, you say, raising your hand slowly. I will turn back. It is not cowardice. It is logic. You cannot treat patients if your skull is cracked open on the Ponte Vecchio. You turn around. As you do, the stone flies. It hits you square in the back, right between the shoulder blades. Thud. The heavy leather absorbs most of the impact, but it still stings. You stumble forward, nearly losing your footing on the wet stones. And stay out, they scream. You do not look back. You walk faster, your heart pounding. The hatred is palpable. You are the symbol of their doom. They cannot fight the plague, so they fight you. You are the tangible monster they can throw rocks at. You are forced to take the long way, winding through the back alleys near the riverbank to find a smaller bridge. This detour takes you through the slums. Here, the horror is naked. There are no shuttered windows here because there are barely any windows. The houses are hovels, piled on top of each other, leaning precariously over narrow, sewage-filled trenches. The rain has turned the dirt floors to mud, and the bodies. In the rich quarter, death is hidden behind velvet curtains. Here, it is in the street. You step over a corpse wrapped in a straw mat. You skirt around a pile of rags that turns out to be a dead family, mother, father, 2 children huddled together in their final sleep. The rats are everywhere. They are bold, sleek, and fat. They scurry over the bodies, their eyes glinting in the gloom. They are the true kings of this district. You try to breathe shallowly. The smell here is catastrophic. It punches through your mask, a physical weight of rot. The herbs in your beak are overwhelmed. You feel bile rising in your throat. You swallow it down. You cannot vomit in the mask. If you do, you will suffocate in your own sickness. You hear a sound. A bell, clang, clang, clang. It is coming from a small church ahead. The door is open. A faint light spills out. Drawn by a morbid curiosity, or perhaps a need for sanctuary from the rain, you approach. Inside, the scene is like a painting by Hieronymus Bosch. The pews are gone, used for firewood or coffins. The floor is covered in pallets. Dozens of sick people are lying there, moaning, praying, dying. A single priest moves among them. He is not wearing a mask. He is wearing his vestments, which are stained and dirty. He is holding a cross, offering last rites to a man whose face is black with gangrene. The priest looks up and sees you standing in the doorway, the terrifying Birdman. He does not flinch. He looks exhausted, his eyes hollowed out caves of shadow. Do you have a cure, doctor? He asks softly. His voice carries over the groans of the dying. You shake your head. No, father, only comfort. There is no comfort here, the priest says. Only judgment. He turns back to the dying man. Ego te absolvo. You watch for a moment. You see the priest touch the man's forehead. Skin to skin, no glove, no barrier. It is suicide. But it is also bravery of a kind you do not possess. You are a technician of the body. He is a shepherd of the soul. You have armor. He has faith. You wonder which is stronger. As you turn to leave, a hand grabs your ankle. You look down. A man is lying on the floor near the door. He is half naked, his body covered in the telltale blotches. He is delirious. Water, he croaks. Fire, my blood is fire. You look at your belt. You have a flask of vinegar water used for cleaning your hands. It is sour, acidic. It is not for drinking, but he is dying. The fever is burning him alive from the inside. You crouch down. It is difficult in the stiff coat. You unscrew the flask. You cannot let your lips touch the flask, and you cannot let his lips touch it either. You pour a stream of the liquid into his open mouth. He sputters, coughing. Some of it spills on his chest. He licks his lips, tasting the sour liquid. Thank you, he whispers. Angel, angel, he called you an angel, you in your black leather carapace with your glass eyes and beak. You who are paid to tally the dead, you stand up. Rest, you say, you walk out of the church. The bell continues to toll. Clang, clang, you finally reach the Oltrarno. The address you have is for a tannery. The smell of the tannery, urine and lye used to cure hides, is usually overpowering. Now it is just another note in the symphony of stench. The tanner is waiting for you. He is a burly man, but he is weeping. He leads you into the workshop. Hides are hanging from the ceiling like flayed ghosts. In the back on a pile of sheepskins lies his wife. She is pregnant. This hits you hard. A pregnant woman with the plague is a double tragedy. The child will die with the mother. The life will be snuffed out before it even breathes the poisoned air. You approach her. She is far gone. Her skin is gray. She is not moving. You place the cane on her chest. No rise and fall. You place the tip of the cane against her neck, feeling for a pulse. Nothing, she is dead, and the child within her is dead too. You turn to the tanner. I am sorry, you say. I am too late. The tanner falls to his knees. He howls. It is a raw, animal sound of grief. He grabs a scraping knife from the bench. For a second, you think he is going to attack you. You step back, raising your cane, but he does not look at you. He looks at his own arm. He slashes the knife across his forearm, drawing a line of blood, a ritual of mourning or madness. Take her, he screams at you. Take her away, I cannot look at her. I am not a corpse carrier, you say firmly. You must wait for the cart. The cart never comes, he yells. They pass us by. Because we are poor, take her. He advances on you, bloody knife in hand, eyes wild. Take her or I will cut that beak off your face. This is the danger. Grief turns to rage in an instant. You are the authority figure he can punish for his loss. You back away toward the door. I will send them, you promise. I will go to the depot myself. I will send the cart. It is a lie. You cannot control the carts, but you need to escape. Go, he screams, throwing the knife. It clatters against the wall next to your head. You scramble out of the workshop, slipping on the wet mud. You run down the alley, the tanner screams, chasing you. You run until your breath comes in ragged gasps, the mask suffocating you. You stop, leaning against a wall, your heart hammering. You are shaking, your hands are trembling inside the gloves. You look at the sky. It is midday, but it looks like twilight. The clouds are thick and yellow. You need a break. You need to take the mask off. You need to drink, you need to pee, but you can do none of these things. To remove the mask here in this alley is death. To urinate is to expose yourself. You are trapped in your suit. You are a prisoner. You check your list, 3 more names, 3 more tragedies, and then you feel it. A tickle, inside the suit, on your neck. It is a small, frantic movement, something crawling. You freeze. Your blood runs cold, colder than the rain. You laced your boots tight. You buttoned your coat to the chin. You wore the gloves. You were perfect, but something is inside. Is it a flea, a louse, or just a drop of sweat trickling down your spine? You stand perfectly still, every nerve ending screaming. You wait for the bite. The bite that seals your fate. The bite that turns you from the doctor into the patient. It moves again, just below your ear. You slam your gloved hand against your neck, hitting the leather hard. You rub it, crushing whatever is there against your skin. You rub until it hurts. You wait. Did you feel a pop? Did you feel a sting? You don't know. The heavy leather numbs your touch. You stand there in the rain, hyperventilating, the panic rising like bile. You can't check. You can't unzip the coat to look. You have to wait. You have to wait 3 days to see if the swelling starts. 3 days of purgatory. You push off the wall. You have to keep moving. If you stop, the fear will eat you alive before the plague does. Next, you whisper to yourself, next. The itch on your neck has stopped. Was it a flea? Was it a drop of sweat? Or was it the phantom touch of your own terror? You will not know for certain until the fever takes you. But as you walk away from the slums, leaving the tanner's screams behind, a cold, heavy stone settles in your gut. It is the weight of anticipation. Every movement of your body now feels suspect. Your armpit aches. Is it the bubo forming, or just the friction of the stiff leather coat? Your head throbs. Is it the onset of the pestilence, or just dehydration and the fumes of the camphor in your mask? You are a man waiting for a sentence that has already been passed, but not yet read aloud. You make your way toward the Piazza della Signoria. This is the heart of Florence's power, the seat of the government. The massive stone tower of the Palazzo Vecchio looms over the square, a symbol of order in a world gone mad. But even here the order is fraying. The square is guarded. Mercenaries with crossbows stand atop the walls. They do not look like proud soldiers, they look like frightened animals cornered in a pen. They keep their distance from everyone. As you approach the main gate, a guard lowers a pike, blocking your path. He looks at your beak, then at the bloodstains on your coat, from the lancing at the merchant's house and the mud of the slums. State your business, Crow, he groats. Report, you say, your voice weary and muffled. I am summoned by the Board of Health. He eyes you with a mixture of disgust and superstitious awe. To him, you are barely human. You are a creature that swims in the river of death and doesn't drown. He kicks the gate open with his boot, refusing to touch it with his hands. Go. And don't breathe on me. You step into the courtyard. It is unnaturally quiet. Usually this place is filled with petitioners, lawyers, and politicians. Now it is empty save for a few other dark shapes. You are not the only one. There are 3 other plague doctors standing in the shadows of the loggia. They are like reflections of yourself. They wear the same waxed coats, the same wide-brimmed hats, the same terrifying beaks. You do not know who is inside those suits. It could be a friend from the university, a rival, or a stranger. It doesn't matter, the masks erase identity. You are just 4 identical avatars of doom standing in a row. You nod to them, they nod back. The gesture is stiff, robotic. There is no camaraderie here, only a shared, silent trauma. You are survivors on a life raft, watching the ship go down, knowing there aren't enough supplies for everyone. A door opens. A clerk, his nose buried in a vinegar-soaked handkerchief, waves you in. You enter the council chamber. The windows are open here, despite the risk of miasma, to let the smoke out. The room is filled with a thick, acrid fog. They are burning sulfur and pitch in large iron braziers. It stings your eyes behind the glass goggles. The theory is that the sharp smell of sulfur will overpower the sticky atoms of the plague in the air. At the far end of the long table sit the learned men. These are the senior physicians, the university professors, the city councilors. They are not wearing masks. They are sitting far back, separated from you by 20 feet of empty floor. They look clean, they look well-fed, they look useless. Doctor, the head physician speaks. He is a man you once admired. A man who taught you about the 4 humors. Now he looks small. Report on the Oltrarno district. You step forward, your cane tapping on the stone floor. You feel like a schoolboy called to the front of the class, except your homework is a list of the dead. The district is lost, you say. Your voice echoes in the cavernous room. The infection rate is near absolute. The tanners, the wool combers, they are dying in the streets. There are no carts to remove them. The rats are eating the bodies before they are cold. A murmur of unease goes through the table. One counselor crosses himself. And the symptoms, the physician asks, as if expecting them to have changed overnight. The same, you recite, high fever, spitting of blood. The emergence of the buboes in the groin, neck, or armpit. Death follows within 2 to 4 days. Some die within hours, coughing up purple blood. The black spots, the tokens, appear on the chest and back. And the treatments, you hesitate. You think of the girl, Lucia, and the pus spurting into the basin. You think of the tanner's wife dead with her unborn child. You think of the man in the church drinking vinegar. Ineffective, you say bluntly. Lancing provides relief from pain, but the patient dies of shock or blood poisoning. The poultices do nothing. The theriac is the finest medicine known to man. The physician snaps, defensive. It contains over 50 ingredients: viper flesh, opium, roasted copper. It must work. You are simply not administering it correctly. You feel a flash of anger inside your hot, sweaty mask. Theriac is a sticky black syrup, ancient and expensive. It is the gold standard of medieval medicine, and it is worthless snake oil, but these men cannot admit that. If they admit the medicine doesn't work, they admit that their entire worldview, their entire understanding of the universe is false. They admit they are powerless. The patients vomit it up, you say. Their stomachs cannot hold it. Then we must look to the heavens, another man says. He is the court astrologer. He stands up, unrolling a large chart. It is as we feared, the conjunction of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars in the house of Aquarius. It occurred 3 years ago. The corruption of the air is the result of this celestial misalignment. The planets are boiling the atmosphere. He looks around the room, satisfied. He has solved it. It's a math problem. And what is the cure for a planetary alignment? You ask, your voice dripping with a sarcasm that is lost behind the mask. Prayer, the astrologer says, and penitence. We must purge the city of sin. The prostitutes, the gamblers, the usurers, they draw the wrath of God. And the Jews, a counselor adds darkly, we hear reports, they are poisoning the wells. They are not dying as fast as we are, you stiffen. You know why the Jewish communities are not dying as fast. Their hygiene laws are stricter, they wash their hands before eating, they bury their dead quickly. It is sanitation, not sorcery. But in this room, fear is the only logic. The wells are not poisoned, you say. I have drunk from them, I am still here. For now, the counselor mutters. The head physician waves a hand, dismissing the debate. We have new orders. The city council has decreed a new ordinance. No one is to wear mourning clothes. No bells are to be rung for the dead. We must not let the people know the extent of the mortality. It creates panic. Panic heats the blood, and hot blood invites the pestilence. Silence, you ask. That is your cure. Silence? It is order, doctor. We must maintain order. He gestures to a clerk who slides a wooden crate across the floor toward you. Here are your supplies, more vinegar, more sponges, and... This, the clerk pushes a small velvet bag across the floor. You pick it up with your cane. It is light. crushed emeralds, the physician says, to be mixed with wine for the wealthiest patients. It is said to be potent. You stare at the bag, crushed emeralds, shards of glass in the gut. It will tear their insides apart, but it is expensive, so they think it must be a cure. And for me, you ask, what protection do I get? The physician looks at you. For a second, his mask of arrogance slips. You see the terror in his eyes. He knows you are a dead man. He knows he sent you out to die so he could sit here in the sulfur smoke and pretend to be in charge. You have your salary, he says quietly, and you have our prayers. Go. Do your rounds. You turn around. You do not bow. You walk out of the chamber, past the other beak doctors who are waiting for their turn to be told that the planets are killing them. You step back out into the courtyard. The air is fresher here, even with the stench of the city. You feel a profound sense of isolation. The men inside that room are playing a game. They are moving pieces on a board, ordinances, astronomical charts, theological debates. But you are in the trench. You look at the bag of crushed emeralds in your hand. You want to throw it in the gutter, but you don't. You will give it to the next rich merchant who asks for it, not because it will save him, but because it will make him feel like he is fighting back. That is what you are selling now, not a cure but the illusion of action. You walk to the well in the center of the piazza. You look down into the dark water. You can see your reflection, the beak, the hat, the goggles. Who are you? You whisper to the reflection. You are not a doctor anymore. You are a priest of a new religion where the god is death and the sacrament is vinegar. You check your list. The sun is beginning to set. The curfew will start soon. After dark, the streets belong to the corpse carriers and the thieves. You have time for 2 more visits. One is a baker, the other is a monastery. The monastery scares you. When the plague enters a closed community like that, it doesn't leave until everyone is gone. It is a slaughterhouse of the faithful. But first, the baker, you need bread. Even in the apocalypse, a man has to eat. And perhaps, just perhaps, the baker will trade a loaf for a reassurance that his cough is just flour dust and not the end of the world. You tighten your grip on the cane, you adjust the mask which is chafing your neck raw, you start walking. As you leave the square, you pass a group of flagellants. They are marching in a line, shirtless, whipping their own backs with knotted cords. Blood runs down their skin. They are chanting a dirge, their eyes rolled back in ecstasy. Stabat Mater Dolorosa. They are trying to beat the sin out of their bodies to appease an angry god. You watch them. Splatters of their blood hit the cobblestones near your boots. Fools, you think. Open wounds in a city of rot. They are spreading the infection with every step, flinging their blood into the crowd. But no one stops them. They are considered holy. You with your mask and your science are considered a pariah. You walk on, the chant fading behind you, replaced by the silence of the waiting city. The shadows are getting longer. The beak casts a long, sharp shadow on the wall like a scythe. You are tired, so very tired, but the contract is not yet fulfilled. The sun dips below the rooftops, casting the city into a premature twilight. The light that remains is sickly, filtered through the haze of smoke from the bonfires burning at every major intersection. The fires are meant to purify the air, but they only serve to make Florence look like it has already descended into hell. Your destination is the monastery of San Marco. It lies on the northern edge of the city, a place usually known for its tranquil gardens and the Gregorian chants that drift over its high walls. But today, the walls are silent. The heavy wooden gate is closed but not barred. A sign has been nailed to the wood in crude, hasty strokes, pestilentia. You push the gate open. It creaks, a long, rusty groan that seems to violate the stillness. You step into the cloisters. This should be a place of peace. A square garden surrounded by covered walkways with elegant arches. In the center, a fountain usually bubbles with clear water. Now the fountain is dry, the basin filled with dead leaves and a few dead sparrows. The garden itself is overgrown, weeds choking the medicinal herbs the monks used to cultivate. But it is the smell that stops you. It is different here. In the streets, the smell is of garbage and decay. Here, in this enclosed space, it is concentrated. It smells of unwashed bodies, incense, and something sweet and terrible, gangrene. It is the smell of a hospital where the nurses have all died. You walk along the colonnade. The doors to the monks' cells are all open. You peer into the first one. A monk lies on his cot. He is dressed in his habit, his hands clasped over his chest. He has been dead for days. His face is dark, the skin pulled tight over his skull. A rosary is tangled in his stiff fingers. There is no one to bury him. You move to the next cell, another body, and the next, another. It is a dormitory of the dead. The plague has swept through this community like a fox in a hen house. Living in close quarters, sharing meals, chanting together in the enclosed air of the chapel, it was a death sentence. You reach the end of the walkway and hear a sound, a low, rhythmic murmuring. It is coming from the refectory, the dining hall. You approach the large double doors. You push one open with your cane. The sight before you freezes the blood in your veins. The long wooden tables are set for dinner. Pewter plates, cups of watered-down wine, stale bread, and sitting at the tables are the monks, perhaps 20 of them. Most of them are slumped forward, heads resting on the wood or leaning back against the wall. They are dead. They died while eating, or perhaps they were too weak to leave the table and simply expired where they sat. But among the dead, there is movement. At the head of the table sits the abbot. He is an old man, his white hair wispy around his tonsure. He is alive, but barely. His face is flushed with the fever, his eyes wide and unseeing, staring at a point in the air that only he can see. He is swaying back and forth, rocking in his chair, and he is humming. He is trying to sing the Vespers, the evening prayers. But his throat is so swollen, his lungs so filled with fluid that it comes out as a wet, gurgling hum. Gloria, you step into the room. The floor is sticky. You do not want to know why. Father Abbot, you say, your voice is loud in the silence. The old man stops rocking, he turns his head slowly toward you. It takes him a moment to focus on the black shape standing in the doorway. He does not look afraid, he looks relieved. Is it time? He whispers. Has the angel come? He thinks you are the angel of death. And in a way, you are the closest thing to it he will see. You walk toward him. You keep your distance from the other bodies. You can see the fleas hopping on the woolen habits of the dead monks. The table is a feast for them. I am the doctor, you say. I was sent to check on the brothers. The abbot smiles, a ghastly stretching of cracked lips. The brothers are sleeping, they were very tired. He gestures vaguely at the room of corpses. We prayed for 3 days and 3 nights. We did not sleep, we asked God to take the cup from us. He coughs, a wet hacking sound that brings up pink froth. He wipes it away with his sleeve. But he made us drink it. You look at him, there is nothing you can do here, he is in the final stages. The septicemic plague, where the bacteria enters the blood, kills quickly. He is bleeding internally. You can see the bruises forming under his skin, the blackening of his fingertips. Can I do anything for you, Father? You ask. It is a hollow offer. Water, he gasps. The well is dry. You reach for the pitcher on the table. It is empty. You look around. There is a bucket in the corner. You walk over to it. It is half full of water, but there is a dead rat floating in it. You recoil. You cannot give him this. You reach for your own flask of vinegar water again. It is almost empty. You have been rationing it for yourself to clean your hands to keep the infection at bay. But this man is alone in a room of his dead friends. You walk back to him. Open your mouth. He tilts his head back. You pour the last few drops of the sour liquid onto his tongue. He swallows greedily. Bitter, he whispers, like gall. It will help you lie. He looks at you with sudden clarity. The fever breaks for a second, allowing the man behind the sickness to surface. Run, he says, his voice is urgent. Leave this place. The devil is in the walls. We opened the gates for him. What do you mean? We took in travelers, pilgrims from the north. They were sick. We thought charity would save us. He starts to weep. It killed us. Charity killed us. He grabs the edge of the table. His knuckles turn white. A spasm of pain hits him. He doubles over, retching. You step back. You have to. The spray. He vomits blood onto the table. Then he slumps forward, his head hitting the wood with a dull thud. He does not move again. The humming has stopped. The choir is silent. You stand there for a moment, the only living thing in the room. The silence is heavy, pressing against your ears. You look at the rows of dead monks. They look like they are napping after a heavy meal. It is grotesque. It is peaceful. You turn and walk out. You walk fast. You do not look into the other cells. You cross the garden, ignoring the dry fountain. You push the heavy gate open and stumble out into the street. Night has fallen. The city is transformed. The darkness hides the filth, but it amplifies the fear. The only light comes from the flickering torches on street corners and the distant glow of the bonfires. The shadows stretch and twist. You need to get home. You need to get to your room, to your sanctuary. You need to take this mask off. You need to strip off this leather skin and scrub your body until it is raw. But the way back is dangerous. You turn down a narrow alley, a shortcut to the Santa Cruz district. It is pitch black. You have to feel your way with your cane, tapping the walls. Tap, tap, splash. You stepped in something, you don't want to know what it is. Suddenly you hear footsteps, not the scuttling of rats. Heavy human footsteps behind you. You stop. The footsteps stop. You turn around. You can see nothing but the black maw of the alley. Who is there? You call out. Silence. Then a scrape of metal on stone. Thieves, desperate men. They know the doctors carry money. They know you have been paid by the rich. And they know that in the dark, your beak is just a handle to grab you by. You grip your cane, it is a poor weapon. You reach for the small knife at your belt. I have the sickness, you shout into the dark, it is your best defense. I am covered in the sores, touch me and you die, a laugh echoes from the shadows. We are already dead, Crow, give us the gold. Two figures emerge from the gloom. They are wrapped in rags, faces covered. One holds a club, the other holds a knife. They are thin, starving wolves. Stay back, you warn, brandishing the cane. They lunge. The one with the club swings, you duck, the heavy wood whistling over your head. The leather hood protects you from a glancing blow, but the force knocks you sideways against the wall. You are clumsy in the suit. You slip on the wet stones. The second man grabs your coat. He yanks you forward. He is trying to get to your belt, to the purse of coins. Get off, you scream, your voice muffled and panicked inside the mask. You thrash wildly. You strike out with the cane, hitting the man in the ribs. He grunts but doesn't let go. He grabs the beak. He grabs the long, white nose of your mask and twists. This is it. If the mask comes off, you are exposed. You are breathing their air. You are dead. Panic gives you strength. You kick out with your heavy boot, catching him in the shin. He howls and lets go. You don't fight, you run. You scramble to your feet and sprint down the alley. You are heavy, slow, a lumbering beast in leather armor. But you are running on pure adrenaline. You hear them behind you, cursing, splashing in the mud. You burst out of the alley onto a wider street. There is a bonfire here. A group of city guards is warming their hands. Help, you shout. Thieves, the guards look up. They see the terrified plague doctor running toward them. They see the dark shapes in the alley behind you turn and flee back into the shadows. The guards do not move to help you. They do not chase the thieves. They just watch. You slow down, gasping for air. Your lungs are burning. The mask feels like it is shrinking, crushing your face. You lean against a wall, sliding down until you are crouching. Move along, doctor, one of the guards says lazily. Don't die here, it's too much paperwork. You look at them, they are indifferent. The city has lost its humanity. Survival has stripped away empathy. You stand up. Your legs are shaking, you check your belt. The purse is still there. You are still rich. You are still alive. But your mask, you touch it, it is crooked. The strap has loosened during the struggle. Did the seal break? Did the air get in? You tighten the strap with trembling fingers, you pray. It is all you can do. You limp the rest of the way home. The streets are empty now, the curfew is in effect. Anyone found outside can be shot on sight, but you are the doctor. You are the only one allowed to walk with death. You reach your door, you fumble for the key, you unlock it and step inside, you lock it behind you, you slide the bolts, you are safe, or are you? You are inside the box now, but is the plague outside or did you bring it in with you? The bolt slides home, the heavy iron bar drops into place. You lean your back against the door, your breath coming in short, sharp gasps inside the beak. You are safe, you are inside. But the panic does not leave you, it merely changes shape. Out there the enemy was visible, the bodies, the rats, the thieves. In here the enemy is invisible, it is the microscopic dust on your coat. It is the smudge on your glove, it is the air you brought in with you. You are standing in your airlock. It is a small antechamber you have created, separated from your main living quarters by a heavy curtain soaked in vinegar. This is where the shedding happens. This is the most dangerous part of your day. One mistake here, one brush of the outer coat against your inner tunic and the fortress falls. You stare into the gloom. A single candle burns on a shelf, its flame guttering in the draft. It casts long, dancing shadows that look like reaching fingers. First, the cane. You hold it by the handle, the only part you have touched with your gloves. The rest of it, the shaft, the metal tip, has touched the dead. It has poked buboes, lifted soiled sheets, and struck a thief. It is a rod of contagion. You place it carefully in a bucket of lye standing in the corner. You hear the hiss as the chemical begins to eat away the filth. You leave it there, it must purge. Next, the hat you reach up with both hands. You must be careful not to touch your face. You lift the wide-brimmed leather hat by the crown. It is soaked with rain and soot. You hang it on a peg near the door. You will not touch it again until morning. Now the gloves, this is tricky. The gloves are the front line. They have touched the money, the doorknobs, the world. You cannot use one gloved hand to pull off the other, or you contaminate the clean hand. You use a bootjack, a wooden device on the floor, to step on the fingertips of your left glove. You pull your hand out slowly, leaving the leather shell behind. Your hand emerges pale, wrinkled from sweat, shaking. It looks vulnerable, naked. You use your bare hand to carefully, so carefully, reach inside the cuff of the right glove, touching only the inside lining. You peel it off. You drop both gloves into a separate bucket of vinegar. They sink into the murky liquid. Then the coat, the heavy, waxed Moroccan leather carapace. It weighs a stone, dragging down your shoulders. You undo the buttons. There are 30 of them. Your fingers fumble. You are exhausted. Every muscle aches. You finally undo the last one. You shrug your shoulders, letting the coat slide down your arms. You must not let the outside touch you. You step out of it, leaving it in a heap on the floor. You will wipe it down later. For now, it lies there like the shed skin of a giant reptile. And finally, the mask. The beak is heavy on your nose. The straps are digging into the back of your skull. You reach up, you undo the buckle, the leather loosens. You take a deep breath, your last breath through the filter of herbs, and you pull it forward. The world rushes in. The first thing you notice is the cold. The air in the room is freezing. Inside the suit, it was a tropical swamp of your own body heat. Now the chill hits your sweat-soaked skin, making you shiver violently. The second thing is the smell. You expect fresh air, but your room smells of old smoke, damp stone, and the sharp, acidic tang of the vinegar curtain. But compared to the rot of the streets, it smells like heaven. You place the mask on the shelf next to the candle. You look at it. The glass eyes stare back at you, blank and indifferent. It looks like a severed head. You hate it. You need it. It is your face now. The man looking at it is just a ghost haunting the machinery. You step through the vinegar curtain into your main room. You strip off your undertunic and breeches. They are sodden with sweat. You throw them into the fire that is dying in the hearth. You watch them catch. The linen blackens, curls, and bursts into flame. You burn your clothes every night. It is expensive, but the alternative is unthinkable. You stand naked in the center of the room. You are shivering uncontrollably now, your teeth chattering. Clack, 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 you walk to the basin. You have prepared a mixture of water, vinegar, and rosewater. You take a rough sponge. You begin to scrub. You do not wash gently. You scour. You scrub until your skin turns red, until it feels raw. You scrub your neck where you felt the phantom itch. You scrub your hands, searching for the spot where the drop of blood landed on the glove. Did it soak through? Is there a red mark on your palm? You hold your hand up to the candlelight. You examine every pore. A freckle, a mole, or the beginning of a petechial hemorrhage. You stare at it until your eyes blur. It is just a freckle, you think. You pour the rest of the icy water over your head. It shocks you, making you gasp. It washes away the sweat, the fear, the day, but it cannot wash away the memories. The image of the tanner's wife. The sound of the abbot's humming. They are tattooed on the inside of your eyelids. You dry yourself with a rough towel. You put on a clean nightshirt. You wrap yourself in a heavy wool blanket. You are clean, technically. You are starving. You haven't eaten since sunrise. You go to your larder. It is well stocked. You have cheese, hard sausages, dried figs, and wine. You have more food than the Duke of Milan right now. You sit at your small wooden table. You cut a piece of sausage with a clean knife. You pour a cup of wine. You eat ravenously. Your body demands fuel, but the food tastes like ash. You chew mechanically. You are eating to keep the machine running, nothing more. On the table next to your plate sits the heavy purse of gold you earned today. You open it. You spill the coins out onto the wood. Gold florins, silver grossi, a small fortune. You stack them. 10. 20, 50, you look at the glittering piles. You remember the baker who died last week. He had a chest full of gold under his bed. They buried him in a mass grave wrapped in a sheet. The gold is still under the bed or stolen by the becchini. You push the coins away. They are useless tokens. You can't buy a ticket out of the city. The gates are locked. You can't buy a cure. You can't buy company. You are the richest man in the asylum. You move to the window. It is shuttered tight, the crack stuffed with rags. You shouldn't open it. The night air is filled with miasma. But you need to hear something other than your own heartbeat. You put your ear against the wood. The city is not silent, it groans. You hear the rumble of cart wheels. The death carts are doing their rounds. Bring out your dead. You hear the distant wailing of a woman. You hear the barking of wild dogs fighting over something in the gutter. And then closer. Right below your window. Doctor, a whisper. You freeze. Is it real, or is the madness finally setting in? Doctor, we know you're in there. It is a voice, a man's voice, hushed, desperate. My wife, she has the tokens. Throw down the medicine. We have no money, but for the love of Christ. You stand paralyzed. You cannot open the window. If you open the window, you break the seal. You let the night in, you let the death in. Please, the voice cracks. She is burning. You look at your bag of supplies on the shelf. You have the crushed emeralds. You have the theriac. You have the opium. You could open the shutter just a crack and drop something down, but you don't. You know the rules. If you open the door to one, you open it to all. If they know you are charitable, they will batter your door down. They will crowd your stairwell. They will breathe on you. You step back from the window. You retreat into the center of the room. Damn you, the voice screams from the street. Damn you to hell, you crow. Then the sound of spitting against the wood of your door downstairs. Then footsteps fading away. You sink into your chair. You are shaking again. You are not a doctor. You are a coward hiding in a fortress of vinegar and wax. You are damning people to die to save your own miserable skin. To quiet your mind, you open your journal, you dip your quill in ink, you must record the day. It is a requirement of the council, but also a way to prove you existed. Date, 14th of November 1348. Weather, rain, heavy air, mortality high, the Oltrarno is lost. San Marco is a tomb, you write down the names of the patients you saw. Lucia Rossi prognosis, terminal. Unnamed child prognosis, dead. The tanner's wife prognosis, dead. You pause, you look at the ink drying on the page, it looks like black blood, you add a personal note. You shouldn't, but you do. I am alone, the silence is louder than the screaming. I checked my neck 3 times tonight. There is a redness, it may be the chafing of the mask, it may be the end, I am afraid to sleep. If I sleep, I might not wake. You close the book, you blow out the candle. The room plunges into darkness. You crawl into your bed, the sheets are cold. You curl into a ball, trying to preserve your body heat. You pull the blankets up over your head, you try to sleep. But the darkness is not empty. Every time you close your eyes, you see the beak. You see it floating in front of you, you are no longer yourself, you are the mask. The man you were, the man who liked lute music, who enjoyed a glass of Chianti in the sunlight, who loved a woman in Siena, that man is fading. He is being replaced by the creature in the leather coat. You feel a tickle on your leg. You kick out violently, thrashing in the bed. You sit up, your heart hammering against your ribs. Light, you gasp, you fumble for the flint and steel. You strike it, sparks flying in the dark. You light the candle again with shaking hands. You throw back the covers, you search the sheets. Nothing, no flea, no louse, just the rough weave of the wool. It is your mind. The pestilence has not touched your body yet, but it has infected your mind. It is eating your sanity. You leave the candle burning. You cannot handle the dark tonight. You lie back down, watching the shadows dance on the ceiling. They look like dancers in a dance macabre. Skeletons holding hands with kings and popes and doctors, spinning in a circle toward the grave. You listen to the rain drumming on the roof. Tap, tap, tap. It sounds like the tapping of your cane. Tomorrow you have to do it all again. You have to wax the coat. You have to put on the mask. You have to walk into hell. Why? Why don't you just stay in bed? Why don't you just open the window and breathe deep? Why don't you just let it take you? Because of the contract, because of the gold, or maybe. Because as long as you are walking, as long as you are the doctor, you are not the victim. You are the observer, you are apart from it. You close your eyes, the candle flickers. And finally, exhaustion drags you down into a restless, feverish sleep. You are drowning, but it is not water that fills your lungs, it is rose petals, millions of them, dried, dusty, crumbling red petals. They are pouring into your mouth, suffocating you with their sweet, cloying scent. You try to spit them out, but your jaw is locked. You reach up to claw them away from your face, but your hands are not hands, they are leather claws. Rigid, black, you run to a mirror. It is the mirror in your room, but it is vast, stretching up to the sky. You look at your reflection, you are not wearing the mask. The mask is your face. The leather has fused with your skin. The stitches are your scars. The glass eyes are your real eyes, unblinking and cold. You grab the beak, you pull, you scream as the skin tears, but it won't come off. It is bone now. You are the bird. You open your mouth to scream for help, but the only sound that comes out is a harsh, metallic caw. You flap your arms. The heavy coat has become wings. You lift off the ground, flying over Florence. But the city is not made of stone. It is made of bodies. The towers are stacks of corpses reaching for heaven. The streets are rivers of black blood. And you are just a scavenger, circling, waiting to feast. You wake up with a gasp that rattles your ribs. You are sitting upright in bed. The scream is trapped in your throat. Your heart is hammering against your chest like a trapped bird, just like in the dream. You look around wildly. The room is gray. The candle has burned down to a puddle of wax on the table, the wick drowned and black. It is morning, but there is no sun. The light filtering through the cracks in the shutters is the color of a bruise, yellow and purple. You are drenched in sweat. Again, the terror of the night clings to you. You touch your face. You feel skin, soft, unshaven human skin. You almost weep with relief. It hasn't fused yet. You are still a man, but for how long? You swing your legs out of bed. The floor is freezing. You walk to the basin to splash water on your face, but you stop. The water in the basin has a film of gray dust on it, ash. It must have come down the chimney during the night. The city is burning. The cremations are uncontrolled. You don't wash. You don't have the energy. You just stare at your reflection in the water. You look older. The eyes staring back are hollow, rimmed with red. You look like the things you treat. You begin the ritual. It is harder today. Your limbs feel heavy as if the gravity in the room has doubled. Under tunic, breeches, the boots, you pick up the coat. It smells of vinegar and old fear. You hate it. You despise it. It is your jail cell, but you put it on, you button it, click, click, click. Each button is a lock sealing you away from the world. You reach for the mask. It sits on the shelf, the beak pointing at you accusatorily. You hold it in your hands. You can smell the stale herbs inside. The mint is gone, leaving only the sharp medicinal sting of the camphor. You pack fresh herbs into the beak. Rosemary, thyme, a dried piece of orange peel. It is a futile gesture like putting perfume on a corpse, but you do it. You pull the mask on. The world narrows. The breath becomes labored. You are the doctor again. You take your cane from the lye bucket. The wood is bleached white at the tip. You unlock the door. You slide the bolts back. You expect the usual silence of the stairwell. Instead, you hear laughter. You step out into the street. The rain has stopped, but the air is thick, humid, and still. The first thing you notice is the pile. Right in front of your building, where the street sweeps wide, there is a mountain of furniture. Tables, chairs, silk tapestries, paintings of the Madonna. It is a bonfire waiting to be lit. And sitting on top of this throne of looted wealth are three men. They are becchini, the corpse carriers. Usually these men are the lowest of the low. Criminals, outcasts forced to do the dirty work. They usually slink in the shadows, faces covered, moving fast. Not today. Today they are kings. One of them is wearing a woman's silk gown over his filthy rags. It is stained with wine and fluids, but he wears it like a royal robe. Another is wearing a velvet hat with a peacock feather, clearly stolen from a nobleman. They are passing a golden chalice between them, spilling wine down their chins. They are drunk. At 8 in the morning, they see you come out, the doctor, the authority. Usually they would look away. They would fear your report to the council. The man in the silk dress stands up. He teeters on the pile of furniture. He points a finger at you. A finger covered in rings. "Look," he shouts, his voice slurred and raucous. "The crow has woken up." The others laugh. It is a jagged, ugly sound. "Go back to sleep, crow," the second man yells. "There is no work for you. They are all dead." "Or we buried them," the third adds. "For a price." You grip your cane. This is the breakdown. The fear of the law has evaporated. The city council is hiding or dead. The guards have deserted. These men, the ones who handle the bodies, are the only power left. They control the streets because they are the only ones not afraid to touch the dead. They have realized that if they are going to die, they will die rich and drunk. You ignore them. You cannot fight them. You walk past, keeping your head down, eyes fixed on the cobblestones. "Fly away, little bird," they jeer. A goblet hits the ground behind you, splashing wine on your boots. You turn the corner, your heart pounding. The city has changed. It is no longer a hospital. It is an asylum where the inmates have taken the keys. You are heading toward the Duomo, the cathedral. You have heard rumors that a field hospital has been set up in the nave. As you walk down the Via dei Servi, you hear a sound, a rhythmic thumping sound, like a drum beat but wetter. Thump, whack. Groan, thump, whack, groan. A procession is coming toward you. You press yourself against the wall of a building, making yourself as small as possible. It is the flagellants. You saw them yesterday, but this is different. This is an army, hundreds of them, men and women stripped to the waist, marching in a double column. They hold heavy leather scourges with knotted tails, some tipped with metal spikes. They are singing a low, mournful chant in Latin. "Pars Domine, pars populo tuo," spare, O Lord, spare thy people. In unison they swing the whips over their shoulders. Whack! The metal tips tear into the flesh of their backs. Blood sprays into the air. It mingles with the sweat and the dirt. Their backs are raw meat. Some of them are staggering, barely able to walk, but the trance keeps them moving. They believe this pain will buy them salvation. They believe they are taking the sins of the world onto their own skin. People are coming out of the houses to watch. Desperate mothers hold up their sick babies, hoping a drop of the holy blood will splash on them and cure them. They are reaching out to touch the hem of the flagellant's bloody trousers. You watch in horror through your glass lenses. This is a super spreader event, the blood flying through the air, the open wounds, the crowd pressing in. They are marching the plague right through the center of the city, distributing it like communion wine. You see a man in the procession fall. He collapses face forward into the mud. The line does not stop, they simply step over him. He is left there twitching, bleeding, ignored. His penance is finished. You wait until they pass. The street is slick with red mud. You have to walk through it. Your boots squelch, you feel sick. The logic of medicine, of quarantine, of hygiene, it means nothing here. Faith and madness have taken the wheel. You reach the Duomo. The massive cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore. It is unfinished, the great facade still rough stone, but it dominates the skyline. The doors are open, you walk in. The vast interior, usually cool and echoing with prayers, is a sensory nightmare. The air is hot, humid, and reeks of unwashed humanity and rot. The pews have been removed. The entire floor of the nave is covered with pallets. Hundreds of them. It is not a hospital. It is a warehouse for the dying. There are no doctors here, no nurses. Just a few terrified nuns moving like ghosts between the rows, offering water. You walk down the center aisle. You are looking for a priest. You need to know if there is any authority left. You pass a pallet where a woman is sitting up. She sees your mask. She screams. "The devil," she shrieks, pointing at you. "He has come for us." Other heads turn, eyes widen in terror. To them, you are not a healer. You are the symbol of the end. You are the Grim Reaper's pet. "Get him out," a man shouts. He tries to stand but falls back, coughing blood. You realize your mistake. You shouldn't be here. Your presence causes panic. Panic speeds up the heart. Panic kills. You turn to leave, but a hand grabs your coat. You spin around, raising your cane. It is a man in a velvet doublet. He is wealthy, or was. He is lying on a dirty straw mat. His face is gray, covered in sweat. "Doctor," he rasps, "I know you." You lean in. The glass eyes of your mask reflect his dying face. "Signor Ghiberti?" you ask. He was a banker, a powerful man on the council. "Help me," he whispers. I have the cure." He fumbles in his shirt. He pulls out a small, dirty object. It is a dried toad. "I bought it," he says, his eyes manic. "From a witch in the market," she said. "Place it on the heart. It sucks the poison." He presses the dried, shriveled toad against his chest. "It's not working." "Why is it not working?" He looks at you with the eyes of a child who has been promised a toy and given a stone. "Because there is no magic, signor," you say softly. "And there is no cure." "But I am rich," he screams. He tries to sit up. "I own half the wool guild. I cannot die on the floor like a dog." "Death has no coin, signor." He stares at you. Then the rage drains out of him, leaving only terror. "Hold my hand," he begs. "Just hold my hand. I don't want to be alone." You look at his hand. It is covered in sores. You look at your glove. The leather barrier. You cannot hold his hand, not really, but you can offer the illusion. You reach out. You grasp his hand with your gloved hand. You squeeze it. "I am here," you say. He squeezes back. His grip is weak. He closes his eyes. He takes a breath, then another, then silence. His grip loosens. The dried toad rolls off his chest and falls onto the stone floor. You let go of his hand. You stand up. You look around the cathedral. The scale of it crushes you. Hundreds of souls rotting under the house of God, and God is silent. The only sound is the coughing, the weeping, and the buzzing of flies. You leave the cathedral. You are stumbling now. The heat inside the suit is unbearable. You are dehydrated. You are dizzy. You step out into the sunlight. The clouds have parted. The sun is blazing down. It should be beautiful, but it feels cruel. The light illuminates everything, the grime, the blood, the faces of the dead. You see a group of people running toward you. They are screaming. "Fire, fire!" You look toward the river. Thick black smoke is billowing up. The Ponte Vecchio, the bridge with the shops, is burning. Someone has set it on fire, maybe to stop the infection crossing the river, maybe out of spite. Maybe just to see it burn. The fire is spreading to the houses on the bank. The city is beginning to eat itself. You have to get out. You have to get back to your room. But as you turn, you feel it again. The itch on your neck, but this time it is not a tickle. It is a throb, a deep, dull ache under the jaw. You stop dead in the middle of the street. The panic rises like a tidal wave. You drop your cane. Clatter, you reach up with your gloved hand. You press against your neck through the heavy leather hood. There is a lump. It is small, hard. Like a marble, you press harder. It hurts. A sharp, stinging pain. The world stops. The fire, the screaming, the smell, it all fades away. All that exists is that small, hard lump under your skin. You have it. The seal was broken. The armor failed. You stand there, swaying. A laugh bubbles up in your throat. It is a hysterical, bubbling laugh. You are the doctor. You are the expert. You know exactly what happens next. Day 1, the swelling, the headache. Day 2, the fever, the vomiting, the delirium. Day 3, the darkness. You have 3 days. You look at your cane lying on the ground. You don't pick it up. You don't need it anymore. You are not the observer anymore. You are the patient. You look at the burning bridge. It is beautiful. 3 days, you whisper inside your mask. You start to walk, not toward home. Home doesn't matter. The contract doesn't matter. The gold doesn't matter. You walk toward the river, toward the fire. You might as well watch the world end from the front row. You do not go home. Home is a cage of vinegar and silence, a place where you pretended to be safe. Now that the pretense is gone, the room feels irrelevant. You are a dead man walking, and dead men do not need rent-controlled apartments. You walk toward the Arno River. The fire on the Ponte Vecchio is raging. The wooden shops, the butchers, the goldsmiths are skeletons of orange flame. The heat hits you from 50 yards away, a physical wave that presses against your leather coat. You find a spot on the stone embankment, away from the chaos of the bucket brigades. You sit down. You dangle your legs over the edge, your heavy boots hovering above the murky water. You sit there for hours. You watch the sun go down. You watch the fire turn the night sky into a bruising purple and angry red. You watch the sparks fly up and join the stars. The lump on your neck is growing. You can feel it pushing against the leather hood. It is no longer a marble. It is a walnut. It throbs in time with your heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. It is a second heart beating a countdown. You are thirsty, desperately thirsty. Your throat feels like it is coated in sand, but you cannot drink. To drink, you must remove the mask. And you are not ready to show your face to the city. Not yet. You are still clinging to the anonymity of the beak. As long as you wear it, you are a symbol, not a victim. Eventually, exhaustion wins. You curl up right there on the stones, pulling your knees to your chest. The leather coat, once a burden, is now a blanket. You sleep to the sound of crackling timber and the rushing river. Day 2, the fire within you wake up to agony. It starts in your joints. Your knees, your elbows, your hips, they feel like they have been filled with ground glass. Every movement is a grinding torture. You try to sit up and the world spins violently. The sky is a blur of gray and white, but the real pain is in your neck. You reach up. The lump is the size of a hen's egg now. It is hot to the touch, even through the leather. The pain radiates down your shoulder and up into your skull. It feels like someone is driving a hot nail into your ear. You groan. The sound is trapped in the mask, echoing back at you. You have to get up. You cannot die here on the riverbank like a stray dog. You need water. You need shade. You stagger to your feet. You sway like a drunkard. Passers-by, the few that are left, give you a wide berth. They see a plague doctor stumbling, possibly drunk, possibly mad. They don't know you are dying. They just know you are dangerous. You wander aimlessly. The city has become a labyrinth. Streets you knew by heart now seem alien. Buildings seem to lean over you, judging you. You find yourself in a small piazza. There is a fountain here. Miraculously, it is working. A trickle of water falls from the mouth of a stone lion. Water. You stumble toward it. You fall to your knees on the wet stones. You reach up to the buckle of your mask. Your fingers are clumsy, numb. You struggle with the leather strap. It feels like it is glued to your head. Panic. What if it never comes off? What if you die inside this bird head? You rip at the strap. Finally it gives. You pull the mask off. The air hits your face. It is foul, smelling of smoke and rot, but it feels like silk against your sweating skin. You drop the mask on the ground. The beak clatters against the stones. The glass eyes stare up at the sky. You plunge your face into the basin. You drink. You don't care about the purity. You drink like an animal, gulping down the cool water. It spills down your chin, soaking your tunic. You pull back, gasping. You wipe your mouth with your hand. You look at your reflection in the water. The face staring back is not yours. It is gray, gaunt. The eyes are sunken, surrounded by dark bruises. And there on the left side of your neck is the bubo. It is angry, red and purple, pulsing with malevolent life. You touch it. It is hard as stone. So you whisper. Your voice is raspy, unrecognizable. It is real. You look down at the mask lying on the ground. The leather is scuffed. The beak is stained. It looks like a dead thing. A prop from a play that has been cancelled. You leave it there. You don't need it. You are no longer the doctor. You are just a man named Giovanni or Matteo or Luca. You don't even remember your name right now. You are just a body burning up. The fever spikes at noon. You are walking down a street, but the street is changing. The cobblestones are turning into skulls. You are walking on a carpet of bone. Click-clack, click-clack, you look up. The buildings are melting. The stone is turning to wax, dripping down in slow gray sludge. People pass you, but they are not people. They are birds, giant crows in human clothes walking upright. They turn to look at you with beady black eyes. They nod. One of us, you laugh. You are delirious. You stumble into a wall and slide down it. The stone feels cool against your back. Doctor, a voice. Is it real? You open your eyes. A woman is standing over you. She is beautiful. She is wearing a blue dress. She looks like the Madonna from the painting in the church. Doctor, you must get up, she says. I am tired, you mumble. So tired. The rounds are not finished, she says sternly. You have one more patient. Who? Yourself. She reaches out a hand. Her hand is made of light. You reach for it, but your hand passes through hers. She is a ghost, or an angel, or a fevered dream. She fades away. You are alone in the alley. A rat sits on your boot, cleaning its whiskers. It looks at you without fear. It knows. It is waiting. You kick it away weakly. Not yet, you croak. Not yet. You need to shed the rest of the skin. The coat, the heavy waxed coat, it is suffocating you. It is cooking you alive in your own juices. You tear at the buttons. You rip them off. You shrug the coat off your shoulders. It falls to the mud with a heavy, wet slap. You kick it away. You are in your linen tunic now. It is soaked with sweat, clinging to your emaciated frame. You feel lighter, vulnerable, but free. You start walking again. You don't know where you are going. Your feet are moving on their own. You find yourself outside the Palazzo dei Rossi, the house of the rich merchant. The house where you lanced the girl's boil. The door is open. This is wrong. The door was barred. You walk in. There are no guards, no servants. You walk up the marble stairs. You leave muddy footprints on the white stone. You don't care. You enter the girl's room. It is empty. The bed is stripped. The fire is cold. There is a smell of burnt lavender. She is dead. They are all dead or fled. You walk to the bed. You lie down on the bare mattress. It is soft, so soft compared to the riverbank. You close your eyes, the darkness comes, it is not sleep. It is a deep red darkness. You are floating in a sea of blood, you see faces. The tanner's wife holding her dead baby, the abbot humming his vespers with a mouth full of blood. Signor Ghiberti clutching his dried toad, the thieves in the alley, they are all swimming around you, they are not angry, they are welcoming. Join us, the abbot whispers. The water is warm. I tried, you say to them in the dream. I tried to save you. You only counted us, the tanner says. You were the clerk, not the savior. I was afraid, you admit. We were all afraid, Lucia says. She is standing at the foot of your bed. She is healthy, radiant. The wound under her arm is gone. Fear is the disease. Death is the cure. She reaches out and touches your forehead. Her hand is cool, ice cold, the heat in your body breaks. You feel a sudden, violent chill. You start to shake, you open your eyes. You are back in the room. It is night. The room is pitch black. You are thirsty, but you cannot move. Your body is paralyzed. The toxins have reached your muscles. The bubo on your neck has burst. You can feel the wetness on your collarbone. It smells of copper and rot. You are dying. This is it. The moment you have watched 100 times, the rattle in the chest, the graying of the vision. The cold creeping up from the toes. You are not afraid anymore. The fear was for the possibility of death. The certainty of death is surprisingly peaceful. It is just a letting go. A relaxing of a fist that has been clenched for weeks. You think of your money, the bag of gold florins, you left it in your room. Or did you drop it by the river? It doesn't matter. It belongs to the rats now. You think of the mask, lying on the stones of the piazza. Someone will find it, a child perhaps. They will put it on and play doctor. They will run around laughing, not knowing that the beak is filled with the ghosts of the plague. You try to take a breath. It is shallow. Your lungs are filling with fluid. In, out, in. The gap between the breaths gets longer. You look at the ceiling. You can't see it, but you know it's there. Name, you whisper. You try to say your name. You want to hear it one last time, to prove you were a person, not just a suit. Guy, the sound dies in your throat. The darkness closes in. It is not red anymore. It is black, velvet black, soft, quiet. The pain stops, the itching stops, the thirst stops, the doctor is out. The sun rises over Florence. It is a brilliant, mocking gold. The sky is a piercing blue, scrubbed clean by the rains and the smoke. From a distance, the city looks majestic, a jewel of Tuscany nestled in the valley. The dome of the cathedral, still unfinished, catches the light. But down in the streets, the silence is breaking. The door to the Palazzo dei Rossi is kicked open. Two men enter. They have rags tied around their faces, but their eyes are bright with greed. They are the scavengers, the cleanup crew, the men who have survived the worst and are now claiming the spoils. They move through the house, stuffing silver candlesticks and silk napkins into sacks. They ignore the smell. They are used to it. They reach the bedroom on the upper floor. They find you. You are lying on the bare mattress. Rigor mortis has set in, freezing your body in a slight curve. Your skin is a map of the devastation, black patches, swollen nodes, the gray pallor of the end. You are not a person to them. You are an obstacle. You are debris. Another one here, one of them grunts. He nudges your leg with his boot. Check the pockets, the other says. They roll you over. It is not a gentle act. You are stiff heavy. They pat down your linen tunic. They find nothing. No gold, no coin, just a small, empty leather sheath where a knife used to be. Klein, the first man spits. Someone got here before us. They look at your boots. They are good boots, leather, high quality. Take them, the second man commands. They struggle to pull the boots off your stiff feet. It takes effort. They curse you for being difficult even in death. Finally, the boots come free. One of them tries them on immediately, stamping his foot to test the fit. He smiles behind his rag. A perfect fit. Grab the arms, he says. They lift you. You are light now, hollowed out by the dehydration. They carry you down the marble stairs, your bare feet bumping against the steps. Thump. Thump, thump, they carry you out into the street. A cart is waiting. It is piled high with bodies. Men, women, children, rich, poor. It is a democracy of flesh. There is no first-class section on the death cart. They swing you up. You land on top of a baker. A moment later, a dead nun is thrown on top of you. The driver flicks the reins. The horse, thin and tired, lurches forward. The wheels creak over the cobblestones. You begin your final tour of the city. The cart leaves the city gates. The guards wave it through without looking. They don't want to count anymore. You are taken to a field outside the walls. Once this was a vineyard. Now it is a scar on the earth. A trench has been dug. It is massive, a long, deep wound in the clay. It is already half full. The cart backs up to the edge. The driver pulls a lever. The bed of the cart tilts. You slide. You tumble down into the darkness, landing on a tangle of limbs. You are just one pixel in a vast image of sorrow. Men with shovels are waiting on the ridge. They do not shovel earth. They shovel white powder, lime, it falls like snow, it burns, it hisses as it hits the wet skin of the dead. It is meant to dissolve, to sanitize, to erase. You are covered in the white dust. You are buried not in soil but in chemistry. A priest stands at the far end of the trench. He waves a hand vaguely over the pit. He mutters a single blessing for 1,000 souls. He is too tired to name them. He doesn't know your name anyway. To him, you are just the Tuesday batch. The earth is pushed over the lime, the trench is filled, the ground is leveled. By next spring, grass will grow here. It will be greener, taller, and more vibrant than the grass anywhere else. The sheep will graze here. They will eat the grass fed by the bones of the doctors and the merchants. The cycle will continue. Back in the city, the sun beats down on the piazza. A small boy is playing near the fountain. He is thin, a survivor. He has lost his parents, but he is young enough that the horror hasn't broken him yet. He is looking for treasures in the gutter. He sees something. Lying near the stone basin is a strange object. It is made of leather. It has 2 glass eyes and a long, curved beak. It looks like a monster's face. The boy approaches it cautiously. He pokes it with a stick. It doesn't bite. He picks it up. It is heavy. He puts it to his face. He looks through the glass eyes. The world turns yellow and distorted. He breathes in. The smell is faint now, a ghost of camphor and dried mint. He laughs. He runs around the square, flapping his arms. I am the crow. I am the crow. An old woman washing clothes in the fountain looks up. Her face goes pale. She crosses herself. Put that down, she screams. It is the devil's face. The boy stops. He sees the fear in her eyes. He realizes this is not a toy. It is something bad, something cursed. He drops the mask. He runs away. The mask lies on the cobblestones. People walk past it. They give it a wide berth. No one wants to touch it. Eventually, a street sweeper comes. He pushes it with his broom into a pile of refuse. It is swept up along with the broken pottery, the dead rats, and the filth of the plague. It is thrown into a fire. The leather curls, the glass cracks, the beak collapses. The last vestige of the doctor is turned to smoke and ash, rising up to join the miasma it tried so hard to filter out. Months pass. The dying slows down. The cold weather of winter kills the fleas. The great mortality begins to recede. People emerge from their homes. They are pale, shell-shocked, but alive. They look at each other with suspicion, then with relief. The shops reopen. The Ponte Vecchio is rebuilt. The bells of Giotto's campanile begin to ring again, not for death, but for the hour. In the town hall, a clerk is updating the records. He opens the heavy book of the Guild of Physicians. He runs his finger down the list of names. He holds a quill dipped in red ink. Giovanni di Paolo deceased. Matteo the surgeon deceased. The doctor from Bologna deceased. He comes to your entry, whatever your name was. He draws a neat red line through it. He writes the date. He pauses. He wonders who you were. Did you save anyone? Did you comfort anyone? Or were you just another black bird scaring the dying? It doesn't matter. The ledger cares only for taxes and licenses. You are no longer a taxable asset. He closes the book. Dust motes dance in the shaft of sunlight hitting the desk. Years pass. Decades, centuries. The grave outside the walls is forgotten. A vineyard is planted over it. The wine produced there is rich and dark, famous throughout the region. People drink it and laugh, unaware they are drinking the essence of the plague years. The mask becomes a symbol. Not of safety but of terror. It appears in carnivals, in commedia dell'arte. Actors wear it to mock death, to make light of the darkness. The plague doctor becomes a costume, a Halloween outfit, a steampunk aesthetic. You are remembered not as a man who was afraid, who was thirsty, who died alone on a mattress, but as a silhouette. A cool, creepy image on a t-shirt. But the history books, they know that for a brief moment in time you stood between the fire and the wood. You stood on the edge of the abyss and tried to push it back with a stick and some vinegar. You failed, everyone failed, but you stood there. The rain is still tapping against your window. Tap, tap. Tap, you are safe in your bed. The year is not 1348. There are no fleas in your sheets. There is no bubo on your neck. You have antibiotics. You have plumbing. You have screens that glow in the dark. You take a deep breath. The air is clean. It smells of laundry, detergent, and rain, not sulfur and rot. But as you pull the covers up to your chin, a small, cold thought settles in the back of your mind. The world you saw, the breakdown, the fear, the invisible enemy, it is not as far away as you think. It is sleeping just beneath the surface of the earth, waiting for the wheel to turn again. You close your eyes. You are tired. Sleep well while you can.